let's get on to part 2 now that we're in your wonderful personal bedroom here.
All right, this is in my daughter's room. She had a tank set up here for a while. There was not a whole lot going on with it, so we decided to make some changes. One of the changes we made was dirtying the tank.
Nice.
So we did the potting soil, or Miracle Grow organic potting soil, along with plant food, underneath this bed of rocks.
It's kind of the Walstead method,
seems
or
to work
Dustin's
very well.
method.
Right,
kind of
exactly. I honestly have to say that because I'm not running CO2 in this tank, I'm very happy with the growth. It's only been up for about 2 weeks, and everything is just taking off.
Yeah, I mean, that pantanol looks amazing for no
CO2.
Yeah, and the light's nothing super expensive,
nothing.
right?
It's just a Beamworks, $35 light that you buy basically anywhere. Awesome. So it's got a good spectrum on it, 6500K.
Is this a 30-gallon? Or?
This is a 29-gallon tall.
29-gallon.
Yep,
okay.
29.
Yeah.
We got the Ludwigia Super Reds. We have a bunch of different kinds of swords going on here, which are really, really beautiful. They're taking off nicely. A lot of Valsinaria that I've been having a real hard time lately getting going. So I took all of my Val and I decided to dedicate it to one tank, and that was this tank.
I see some shrimp in here too.
There's a couple shrimp in here. This thing had a lot of shrimp in it when I took it down. I tried getting them all. There's about 3 or 4
That is impossible, I think.
Impossible.
Without like emptying the water, and even then you'll find...
I emptied the water. I emptied this thing. This thing was drained all the way. I had...
And you still had some.
I still had some.
Yeah.
They found their way in, I think, via a plant.
Yeah, and then the Ludwigia, even without CO2, looks nice.
Even without CO2. I mean, this tank is, like I said, there's really nothing going on with this tank. I'm not dosing it. I'm not doing anything other than the dirt. Yeah. And the growth, I think, is speaking for itself at this point. I'm very happy. That
and the red on these plants is great without... I mean, you don't need a high-tech tank.
No.
To do beautiful things.
The one thing I will say about the dirted tanks is that if you're going to run a dirted tank, make sure that you have a purpose. Either if you're doing an aquascape, it's going to be a permanent aquascape that you plan on keeping that way for a very long time. Or B, doing a specific plant grow-out tank. It's a messy thing when you go to rip up plants out of the dirt. So one of your best bets is to kind of leave it be.
For sure.
It works really well when you're doing a stem plant high-tech tank.
Gets dense, too.
It gets super dense, and you're not pulling things out of the substrate. Those are easy to trim mid-stem, and you're not having to mess with the dirt. So stem plants usually work out really well inside of a dirted tank. This one, I'm not really sure quite yet how propagation is going to work, considering nothing's quite propagated yet.
Yeah.
But I think in time we're going to get there. We're going to find out exactly how it's going to go.
With that coarser rock, sometimes it takes longer for the runners to make it through, but I've noticed they're actually stronger when they do make it through. So it's worth the wait sometimes, you know? Makes the plant stronger.
Now this plant here, this AR, I was really, really not expecting that to survive, let alone thrive. It
looks
doing
like
really
a plastic
good.
plant.
It's growing so good, and no CO2, and it's keeping its color.
Wow.
Its growth rate has not slowed at all.
Is this Rotala Wallachia here?
Yes, it is.
And that's surviving?
And that's surviving. No CO2. I actually had that in my CO2 tank for the longest time, and it wasn't doing well. Yeah. So I decided to take a couple trimmings and move it into here and see how it does. And so far, it's doing really well, and I'm happy with it. So
it's a tricky one. I got it to turn pink in my tank, and I can't lie, I don't know why it did it. It failed twice before.
Yep. I've had it several times, and I can never seem to get it to just stay healthy.
Yeah.
I get it, it's healthy. I'll take some trimmings. Those trimmings will be healthy, but the main plant always winds up just dying off.
Yeah, I've run into the same thing.
So I just kind of have to keep trimming, and using those trimmings is what I'm using to basically keep the plant around.
And before I forget, where can people check out your...
Scottish Aquatics. Go to YouTube. You can go to Facebook as well. We're more active on the YouTube. We got a lot more followers on there. So,
for sure.
We're more active on the YouTube. I've been a little lazy on the videos lately. Life's been crazy, real busy. But we've also been busy doing things. So I'm glad that Alex is actually here to tour with me to show you guys a lot of these updates that I haven't had the time to really get to you about. So this is not only an update for you, but an update for the Scottish Aquatics.
I'll link it back to your in the description. So, I'll add all your.
There's a lot more to come. We're gonna move on to the next room, which actually is housing 4 more tanks. And we're actually about to set up a new tank. So stick around, and here we go.
Yeah, and if you like planted tanks.
Oh yeah.
Here we go.
Here we go. Here we go. All right, where should we start? Let's start with the
plant. Let's start with just the beautiful
tank.
Let's
start with the prime.
Wow.
Now this thing is loaded with all kinds of different plants. I think we have about 10 to 15 different species, ranging from Rotullas to Ludwigias to hygrophilias. We have carpet plants going on, some sturgeon repens.
Yeah.
We have a lot of things. We have pantanol going in the back there. It has some beautiful coloration going on.
Yeah. Ludwigia has such a broad range.
It really does. I mean,
and so do pogostemons. You know, there's a few different Rotula, Ludwigia, pogostemons. In my opinion, you can do an entire tank with just one. But I mean, with the three of them, you're set.
And that's a future project. Actually, looking at the growth rate of this tank. This tank is only about 2 months old. I only started with a couple plants.
Wow.
It was a very, very shy plant. You could see the entire sand substrate when I started this. I was given a nice little bundle of plants. It was about probably about 4 stems each.
Okay.
Okay, so we planted the 4 stems, and after enough CO2, trimming and lighting, whatnot, this is also a dirted tank, so there's potting soil and potting food down there underneath the sand. So we're not only feeding the plants through the roots, but we're feeding them through the column with nutrients, CO2, highlight, you name it. So this thing is just a rapid growing bush tank. This thing just takes off. I just did a heavy trimming about 2 days ago. 2 days ago you couldn't see none of the pantanol back there because it was lower than the actual center here.
And the red bacopa is beautiful.
It's just taking off. I can't slow it down. I can't stop it. I don't have enough tanks to actually spread all these plants to, so I need people to start buying plants.
Ludwigia arculata, Ludwigia lacustris, which I think maybe I gave to Bentley. I got that from Steve, who owns aquariums, and so it's just funny how
it's just running down the line of all the.
Bentley lives 2 hours south of here. You know, I live in between us, and yet it went south. You know, well, it came from the East Coast.
We're all part of a fantastic group called North Sound Aquarium Society, which is actually hopefully soon to be grouped together with the Greater Seattle Aquarium Society, GSAS. And I'm really hoping that actually works out because there's a lot of great people up here in Northwest Washington specifically. And it's a very big crowd. And because of these groups coming together and doing this, it allows for people like me who don't have very many fish stores around to actually find rare plants like this, especially colorful plants like this. And those meetings that we actually have are the opportunities that I have to get the things that I want.
And to, you know, trade, to sell.
Absolutely. We do raffles, we do trades. Last time I took a bunch of trimmings in here from this tank actually and gifted them a part of the raffle. And
that's awesome.
It's really a lot of fun. A lot of fish nerds come together and just have a good time talking about their tanks.
Yeah, and that's the thing I like about it too is in the fish hobby, more so than any other hobby I've been a part of, and I've been dabbled in a lot of different hobbies, but people don't seem to care about like politics and like what you do for a job, how rich you are. Like
it's all about the fish tank.
It's all about the tank.
It's all about the fish tank, and everyone has different things that they like about the hobby.
And they'll argue over that, but
correct.
Not,
you know, you always, especially if you look at the community, if you look at the YouTube community, you can specifically see everyone has their own vibe, their own thing that they're going with, right? Like Dustin, he's about the dirted tanks, you know what I mean? You have Flip Aquatics about the shrimp, we have Aquarium Co-op about the fish.
And the
everyone has
exactly.
So everyone has their own little specific thing that they like about the hobby. Me, I guess you could say I'm still trying to find that thing, but I've really taken into the plants, I've really taken into the shrimp and the discus, and those have been main parts of my hobby that have kept me in it and kept me obsessed, really.
For me, like in the hobby, I remember as a kid not knowing you could actually have more than just some seaweed-looking plants in a tank. Like I never saw anything.
Seeing this tank, now this tank right here is actually a first-timer for a lot of people. I've shown a lot of my friends the same thing. I've been like, hey, check this out, and they've been, wow, I've never seen any fish tank like that before. I've never seen so many colors or so many different plants.
Yeah, or you don't have room for a garden.
In an aquarium, right.
And so you bring it into your room.
Absolutely. Well, up here in the Northwest, especially, a lot of drowsy days like you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
A lot of rain, a lot of cloudiness. We don't like to spend a lot of time outside.
Yeah.
We work outside, so when we're home, we like to be inside where it's warm, cozy, and this is
Netflix, fish tanks, and chill.
Right, fish tanks and chill. You know what I mean? And this is a great way to make sure that your inside home is a happy zen place.
That's awesome. I wanted to show them real quick the Pt.2-You, how it's...
Oh, now this has been real fun. All right, this started with one stem. Now this one stem, I want to reach in here for you guys so you guys can really see. Now, this was the main stem that I started with.
Okay.
And this thing has kind of propagated and spread. Now I took a bunch of trimmings off of this just yesterday. So if you look real close,
looks like jungle vines
you
wrapping
can follow
this rock.
This plant all the way around and all the way up. It's growing and it's rooted to the rock.
Yeah.
It is attached. And it goes all the way around the backside doing the same thing here.
It's
you can
sprouting
see
up again too.
Lots of plants just growing, and it wraps all the way around the back.
Wow.
It wraps all the way around the back. We have it. So this whole rock, in essence, in just a matter of a couple weeks, it's just going to be surrounded and rooted with this vine-like plant that's not really supposed to do that. I've never seen it do that.
I've seen it hold on to its spot, but not crawl quite like that.
I've seen it carpet, in essence, but the fact that it's growing upward and around and attached to this rock, it has just become a really impressive plant for me and one of my favorites at the moment because of the way it's growing.
Yeah, totally. So I see a lot of baby rice fish in here.
I got these from Aquarium Zen. I started with about 4 of them, and
little blue
I had 3 males to 1 female.
Are these the daisy ones or whatever they're called, or what type are these?
These are the... Let me grab my list here.
They've got the blue eyes, so I was wondering if... I'm not a pro on rice fish by any means, so... But they're fun to breed. I know that I've definitely had fun with them outside, even in Tupperware tubs. I've bred them before. They're kind of cool like a goldfish in the way that they can withstand different temperatures.
Yeah, they've been real fun. They were a fun one to breed. I got to watch the whole process, really.
The way they hold that.
They're daisy blues.
Yeah, okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what it was. They're daisy blues. And these guys, when they breed, they're not your normal egg layer. They do lay eggs, but their egg sacs are actually held outside of the body instead of inside like most do. Tetras or whatnot, right?
Yeah.
So they have this sack of grapes, it looks like, outside of their belly that hangs onto them, and
almost like a shrimp or something.
They will do this every day for 2-3 months in a row, and just lay eggs everywhere. I got lucky and I actually moved the parents out of the tank that they were laying in.
Awesome.
Not expecting any babies, and next thing you know, I had about 30 of these guys just swimming around in their little babies, so I was real excited. It was a good moment.
That's awesome.
It was a fun moment in the fish hobby.
So I think the message here, too, I wanted to show folks this. This is the Fluval little, is this the 45 gram or the...
It's a little 45 gram
yeah.
CO2 kit. It just comes with a little regulator there.
Yeah.
It's just a little paintball style. As you can see, it's smaller than my hand.
Yeah.
It's not very big at all. But it is more than enough CO2 to run a tank like this. I spend maybe $20 to $30 a month on CO2. Considering their growth rate and considering everything going on with this tank, it is a very, very small expense.
I have to say that, like, I bought the bigger gear after having one of these.
Right.
And I had it on a small tank, so it didn't make as much sense. But if you put it to the max, you have a tank around this size.
I don't have any regulators. I don't have any bubble counters. I don't have any diffusers.
Yeah.
I have one of these micro air stones here.
Yeah.
And every morning, when I turn on the CO2, water fills the line, up to a certain point. It gets to about here. So I can see where the water line is. So at that point, when I'm turning this on in the morning, I can see how much pressure I'm running by how fast that water's running down the hose. So once I get it to a nice slow rate where it's moving down the hose real slow, I know I'm not going to get too much.
That's good. Because I had one, I don't know if you saw that video of mine, I had one that literally... the line itself exploded.
Right, and that happens when you have those little discs that you can buy.
That's what came with it.
Those things wind up backing up really bad. Yeah. For some reason, the pressure doesn't want to make it through. I've never had that issue with this type.
That's a good tip.
This is just a regular 99-cent air stone that you can buy from Petco, PetSmart, or any local fish store. The more gas you run through it, the bigger the bubbles.
Sure.
So I run it at a real low pace, fine bubbles.
I think low to like
it's more than enough.
Not even medium. Like
right.
For my tanks too, even with the bigger, I have a 20-pound regulator that looks like bigger than scuba gear.
Correct.
And I still use the same rate.
I've actually run out of CO2, and now the biggest problem I had when I ran out of CO2 was not the plant growth. Now the plants kept on growing and the colors looked fine, but I had a major algae bloom.
Algae,
right? So
the CO2 is the building block to keep the plants going.
This is one fallback that I ran into in this tank so far. So far, everything's, like I said, run fine. I run low CO2. Highlighting, we got 3 lights to spread all the way across this tank. We have a Phoenix Stingray, Fluval 2.0, and I believe this is an Aquaneed or a an off-brand, cheaper version of it. But it does great with the colors if you look at the coloration.
Yeah, you can see
nice colors.
It's got a wide spread between all the lights.
Right.
Especially the 2.0 has kind of some other like
it's a very
pastel-y lights.
Yellow. Yeah, exactly, right? So this tank provides a lot of nice coloration, so it really makes the colors pop on all the plants.
Now, do you have plans to put bigger fish in here or anything like that, or are you going to keep it mostly plants and just the
fish? At the moment, I have a 75-gallon aquarium that is empty and needing to be filled. So I'm in the process of potentially selling this whole setup here, plants included, lights included, and turning around and investing in setting up a 75-gallon of possibly the similar thing here, planted tank, right?
So, for those of you in the Pacific Northwest,
anybody looking for a rimless tank, highlight low CO2 planted tank. You can see all the plants in there. You're going to get 20 different types of plants.
That's a great looking tank, man.
It's really nice. It's a rimless, low iron.
He was just doing water changes. That's why it's a little foggy, I think, anyways.
Actually, no, that's no water changes today.
Oh, really?
Yep. No, I didn't do a water change on this one today. The cloudiness, the little bit of cloudiness, I think that's just a part of the dirt. I think that's... If you look around, I don't have very much sand covering some of the dirt, so you wind up getting a little bit of tannin leach going on.
Okay,
dirt, which is not a big problem. I haven't run into too many issues
with it. It looks natural, to me.
It gets worse if you don't have CO2. The CO2 keeps it down.
Yeah, for sure.
Believe it or not, because that's one of the things that happened too, is the water got real cloudy when we ran out of CO2.
And then, what are you filtering this with?
This has a canister filter. I'm running a Cascade 1000, so it's getting about 265 gallons per hour.
Cool, and that's almost like a power head too. Then,
pretty much. So it's causing current as much.
That's nice. Plants love current.
That was actually suggested to me from one of my fans. When I first started this tank, I had a big 125-gallon sponge filter in dead center, but it took up so much space.
Yeah.
And then someone said, "Hey, why don't you get rid of that sponge and put something a little better on it?" So I did that. And
that is a huge red shrimp.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen a female that big in a while.
That's big. Yeah, they're big. I got some big ones in here. That one's, I think, a cherry, and then I have one in here also that is a carbon Riley.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
They were testers, honestly. I put them in here just to test the water parameters.
See how the ammonia,
make sure they were going to live and everything was going to be okay. And so far, everything's been fine. I've had no deaths.
That's awesome.
Like I said, the first month I had this tank up, I had to do heavy water changes, which you want to do if you're doing a dirted tank. Usually it just takes a little bit longer than normal for the tank to establish and get settled, but once it does, you can kick back, relax, and let it do its thing. I haven't really had to do very many water changes, considering the filtration I got on it. It's mainly just trimming at this point.
Yeah, that's awesome.
A lot of trimming.
That's awesome, man. So there you go, you guys. This is how you can get a lower budget but still high tech,
low budget,
beautiful.
Correct, exactly. And I believe, honestly, I could achieve this without the flue vault.
I think you could too.
I believe I could achieve the same effect without the flue vault. It has great intensity, but there's so many lights out there that are going to have the same amount of intensity as the flue vault, if not more.
You can get spotlights from like CanSun.
I'm using these other ones basically for their spectrums because the flue vault doesn't have a spectrum that I prefer.
Yeah, me too.
If you will, right? It's a 7000K. Or 7500K actually.
I leave just a blue light high tech on behind mine just so that it equalizes.
So
it
gives me the colorations that I need.
Bingo.
Right, so we're getting the different spectrums in there.
Yeah, and so plants like the red spectrum, but I don't like all red.
Right, exactly.
I like it. It can be warm, but not like.
But this has been a real fun tank. This has been one of my favorite tanks.
Cool.
I will really
and right next to bed, which is awesome.
That's my bed tank. Yep, that's what I get to look at when I go to sleep.
That's awesome. Yeah.
This was my first proper planted tank, so I would say for my first one, it's been a high success.
I would say so, man. Yeah, it's very nice.
Following the same process, anybody can do it.
Yeah,
Anyone can do it.
So we're gonna pause this interview here, just because YouTube likes to not allow things past a certain time.
I got you. Okay.
But then let's finish up the tour here.
We got more tanks. Let's get it done.
Yeah. So we're gonna do this real quick. So
this one's basic. Not a lot going on here. This is basically a Crypt Factory. I have a bunch of crypts down here that I got taken off. We had a bad melt back, but everything's coming back. A few lemon tetras are basically the livestock. We have a couple of mono shrimp and some pencil fish.
Yeah.
This is a cool Java moss ball here that we got.
Did you just glue that on there, or?
No, actually, that's one of the ones that you can buy from Petco that's tied to the rock.
Oh, cool.
It's got a little string that's tied to a rock down there, and it's just a little floater, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Bulbitis, Crinum calistrinum, if that's how you pronounce it. This is Halferi. This is Cypress Halferi. There you go. Wood and rocks I find basically locally. The wood I find at the Petco, PetSmart in their reptile section.
Yeah, looks great, man.
It's Mopani is what it's called. It does fine. It leaches a little tannins in the beginning, then it goes away.
The darker the wood, the more the tannins, in theory.
Correct. In theory, right. But this is basically just a horrible attempt at an aquascape, in my opinion.
No, I think it looks great, man. I think it looks all
right considering the stack work, and these guys have a lot of room to kind of swim in and out of things and up and around things. So it's fun for them.
Let's take it on home here.
Let's take it home with the shrimp tank. Now this tank here is a shrimp only.
Ta-da!
Shrimp only. This tank, for the longest time it was shrimp only. Recently we just added 2 bristlenose plecos and 3 albino corridoras.
They won't bug it any.
Nope. And this has
some red
crystal reds. That's Caridinas.
That's a big crystal red, dude.
Oh yeah. I got some big ones in here.
Nice spots on it too.
And then we have regular Neocaridina red cherries.
Yeah.
And carbon red Rileys.
Yeah.
Which are also fun. Not a lot of people are a fan of them. They think they're just a glorified cherry, but
I think they're awesome.
I've had a lot of fun.
I like them a lot.
I've had a lot of fun. A lot of low light plants in here. Java ferns, bulbitis.
And people don't think you can keep them together. And I will say that it's true that I've had a couple that mix in between cherry and Riley, but for like one generation, and then it's gone.
Honestly,
but they don't do it a ton.
Big cherry that you saw in the planet tank over there, I think is from one of the cherry carbon Riley breeds.
Yeah.
And I think it's helping the breed, honestly. I think we're getting a lot more potent colors.
More genetic.